to Gamers Overdrive Retro Mode. Kick back and relax while I blast you back in time and guide you down a pixelated, coin-operated, button-mashing memory lane paved with joysticks, consoles, and dusty old cartridges. Where good guys are always good guys, bad guys are always bad guys, and the fate of the universe lies in your hands. Time to kick it into overdrive. Retro mode. Insert coin to play.
Welcome back to Gamers Overdrive Retro Mode. I'm Johnny Retro, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like this video and please subscribe for weekly gaming retro content. I really like Tetris, if you haven't noticed. It's kind of the perfect game, and I know I've said that before, but I've been talking to people lately about this episode, and I couldn't believe the excitement that it has garnered, just by people of all walks of life, people of all ages. The people who played it back in the day are just really excited to have it being talked about again. Little kids who I've shown it to are like, that game is really cool, I've never seen anything so just instantly fun. You know, you don't really have to overthink Tetris. It's very accessible to everyone. So the game was created in 1984 by a Russian computer scientist named Alexei Pajitnov. Now he was working on a very basic computer at the time, and I think speech recognition was what he was into. But he was more interested in creating kind of just fun experiences for people to enjoy on computers. And so he started working on this puzzle game that he actually, as a child, he had kind of like a wooden block game that had it was kind of a puzzle game similar to what we would see in Tetris. So he kind of just computerized that vision, and due to the limitations of his computer system, he came up with some very creative gameplay mechanics. So if you don't know, Tetris is just it's a droppy shape game. So these 7 different types of shapes drop from the sky, and you have to twist them around to fit them into place, kind of like this lamp right here. And when you get a straight line all the way across, that line disappears, and that's how you get better at the game. That's how you get points, and that's how you also progress through the game. And of course, level by level, it gets faster and faster and faster until you eventually fill the screen with blocks, and then you game over. But you're going for, you know, highest level and that type of thing. So a very simple concept, but it's just so addictive, and it's got this, you know, just instant appeal that anybody can play. Now, there are so many different ways to play Tetris, and actually the Guinness Book of World Records back in 2010, they recognized Tetris as the most ported video game in history. So it's on the most platforms of any other game. And you can play it from any type of device that you have that plays games. You can play Tetris, more or less. Now, I'm going to show you in this video the standard NES Tetris, which is not the original. As I said, the original was a computer game, but they ported it over to Nintendo. And back around that time, I think it was 1988, 1989, there were disputes over the rights to the game. So Atari had the rights, and then Nintendo got those rights, and they went back and forth. And then, you know, some other companies came in, and it was just a big kerfuffle. So eventually they ironed it out, and Nintendo got the solid rights, and they also put it on Game Boy, which completely exploded in terms of popularity. So if you had a Game Boy, it came with Tetris, and that was how most people, I would say, were probably introduced to the game. I'm going to show you also in this video a type of Tetris that will probably blow your mind if you have never heard of it. So stick around to the end of the video, because I'm going to close out with just this kind of modern spin on Tetris that is one of the most beautiful, intriguing, interesting games I've ever played in my entire life, and that's saying a lot. So make sure you stick around. Tetris has also been studied by psychologists for the effects of the game on the human brain. And there have been some studies that seem to show that moderate play of Tetris can actually improve brain function, and things like reasoning and logic, and even some language functions in your brain. So there you go, a little bit of Tetris can actually help the old noodle, so don't feel too guilty when you play. And there's also this weird thing called the Tetris Effect. And the Tetris Effect is something that I've personally experienced, not with Tetris, but with other games. It's when you play a game for a long period of time, and when there's repetitive images on the screen, those images tend to burn themselves right into your mind, and you can kind of see the images just when you're going out about your day. And so, you know, some people who play Tetris a lot, they can just walk around, they actually see the blocks just in the air. And they kind of look, and they also look around at the shapes and rooms and things, and they try and imagine how they would move those around to interlock. So that's a really strange, kind of freaky phenomenon that people have studied, and I can tell you I've experienced it myself. Another thing that most people love about Tetris is the music. It's got this amazing classical music, some from Johann Sebastian Bach, some from the Nutcracker. But one interesting track is probably the one that sticks in your mind when you think of Tetris, is Korobeiniki, which is a Russian folk song. And that Russian folk song tells the story of a peddler and a little girl who have like this little meeting, and they're trying to haggle over whatever he's selling. And it's supposed to be like a courtship, symbolic of courtship. So that little song that's stuck in your head is actually a really ancient Russian folk song. Here we go. Tetris in 3, 2, 1. So here we are playing Tetris, good old Nintendo Tetris, and I'm playing this on the NES Classic, which is ideal for this kind of thing. There's my controller, kind of dark there. But I had to put this on the NES Classic myself because Nintendo was not kind enough to include it in their release. So I had to do my little Johnny Retro hack job and put it on there. And so I'm playing this really not because I think that you guys need to see a playthrough of Tetris. I don't think that's really necessary. But what I'm doing this really because I want you to remember just the simplicity of the game and how it originally looked. You know, this is not far removed from how the original PC game looked. Slight variation on the, you know, just the level design, and I'm talking about the tiles in the background and things like that, and the shine on the blocks themselves. So I want you to remember that, because when I show you what Tetris has evolved into at the end of this video, I just want you to I want you to have your mind blown. I want you to experience what I experienced. So as you see, I'm just building a basic stack here and just trying to get a good straight line. When you get that straight line across, it disappears. And I was reading about Tetris, and I think that was actually accidentally discovered. That was one of the accidental happy accidents that the developer found. He was developing this game on a very limited computer that didn't even have a very visual display, so he had to use like spaces and brackets to represent what was going on the screen, and they would build up too quickly, so he would have to delete to continue, you know, stacking or whatever he was doing. And then that delete process became an essential part of the game. So the lines delete when you fill up one line all the way across. They just delete. Now see this block here? That would be called an S block. Kind of looks like an S, like a stretched out S. And the S blocks and the Z blocks, which is just the reverse of that, they present most of the problems in this game. So, see, this is a Z block. So these ones really mess things up, and they make it pretty likely that you're going to have some holes in whatever kind of stack you're making. And so that's kind of like what adds a lot of difficulty to this game. And if you're ever wondering, like, what happens if you're just like a robot, like a super mega AI, and can you play this game forever? And that's another one of those weird questions that people have studied. And the answer, apparently, is that no, you cannot. And the reason why is because of those S and Z blocks. Ladies and gentlemen, earlier in this video, I mentioned a psychological phenomenon known only as the Tetris Effect. Now, I present you with Tetris Effect for the Sony PlayStation 4.